Hi everybody, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. How are you? Hey, we're doing a series of frequently asked real estate questions. We did part one was sellers. This is going to be part two for frequently asked questions from buyers. And then we're going to do part three about frequently asked questions about how to properly screen a realtor. Can't tell if this light is good or bad, but whatever. Okay, so anyway, let's get into this. First, click notifications, follow me, like this video, and leave a comment. So I've gotten a lot of questions from buyers who've never bought a house before. They have questions about the whole process and contracts, etc., etc. So we filtered them down to the most common home buyer questions, and let's get into it. So, what is the first step in buying a home? The first step in buying a home is you need to get pre-qualified. Pre-approved, pre-qualified. You need to go talk to a lender unless you're paying cash. Most people can't pay cash unless you're coming here from California with a truckload of cash, but other than that, you're going to need to go secure a mortgage. It can be a conventional loan. It can be a VA loan if you are served in the military. By the way, thank you for your service. Or it would be an FHA loan. Either, but you need to go get pre-approved or pre-qualified first. Why is that? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, if you have problems with your financing, it's not fair to you to go out and look at houses and you and your wife and your family fall in love with the house only to find out you can't qualify for it. That's not fair to y'all. It's also not fair to your realtor for y'all to be out looking at houses and you're not pre-qualified, and then there's a problem and you can't actually even qualify now for anything, or you can get qualified but you're looking in the wrong price range. That's a complete waste of time for everybody. So you need to go talk to a lender, get pre-qualified, get pre-approved. Pre-approved is just you've submitted more information to the lender than just some basic. So actually in this market, pre-approval would be far superior when you're submitting an offer than just pre-qualified. But either you need to get pre-qualified or pre-approved before you go out looking. That way you'll know what your interest rate is going to be, how much money you're going to need to come out of pocket. Be sure you've actually got that. How much home you can qualify for. That's a big deal. So to be sure that you're looking in the correct price range. Okay, so that's the answer to number one. Number two, most frequently asked questions from buyers. Should I sell my current property before buying a new one? That would be a question that your lender could answer for you. In some cases, you would not have to sell your existing home in order to go buy your next new one. Usually, most people do have to sell their existing house before they can go buy the next one. And so when you go buy the next one, you would have what's called a contingency, which is you're going to buy this new home contingent upon you being able to sell your existing home. And in this hot market, sellers really don't frown much on contingencies because they know in this hot market that you're going to be able to sell your house. There's a very good, reasonable expectation that you should be able to sell your house. Would it be best if you didn't have a contingency? Absolutely. But if you do, again, in this hot market, sellers know houses are going fast, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. But anyway, the answer to the question is, seriously, again with the light, the answer to the question is your lender can tell you, yes, really? Your lender can tell you yes or no, do you need to sell your existing house? Okay, so that would be a question you need to ask your lender. In most cases, the answer is yes. Should I get a home inspection? The answer is absolutely. The state of Texas actually builds into the contract what's called an option period. You will pay for the option period. The amount of option period money you put down and the time, the length of the option period are all negotiable. But the state of Texas wants you to be able to do all of your due diligence and be sure that before you show up at the closing table, you've done all your due diligence and you're happy with this property and you're ready to sign and move forward. But yes, you should have the property inspected. Now, in this ridiculous seller's market that we're in, I have seen where buyers are not having an option period at all. It's like, here's my offer, we can close on this date. There's no option period. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you accept this offer, bam, we're going straight from active to pending. And I see it a lot. So some buyers are doing that just to be as competitive as possible. That would be something you need to discuss with your realtor to see if that fits your particular situation. But in a quote-unquote normal market, you should have an option period. The option period would be 3, 5, 7 days long, and probably for 3 days, $100, $150 for 5 days, $200 for 7 days. I really wouldn't try to go longer than 7 days, and you'll be lucky if you actually get 7 days in this market. But it's called an option period, and what you will use that time to have the property inspected, and then you can go, after reviewing the inspection report, you can go back to the seller. Actually, you go to your agent goes to the listing agent and request repairs. Just FYI, you need to not be nickel and diming them and Mickey Mousing them to death. If there's a major deficiency, a health or safety hazard, yes. But the light bulb's out in the closet, the sink stopper in the bathroom is missing. Come on. That's why God invented Lowe's and Home Depot. Don't go back to the sellers with that Mickey Mouse stuff. But if there's a major item, yes, you have every right to request that they fix that. If they say no, you have the option. That's why they call it an option period. You have the option to terminate the contract if you so choose. But absolutely, you should have the property inspected. Should I do a final walkthrough before closing? Is the next question, whatever question this is, 3 or 4 or whatever it is. Should I do a final walkthrough? The answer is absolutely yes. Because it's really funny when you think about it. You go and see the house with your realtor initially and you love it, and then you turn in an offer, and then if you're fortunate enough to get the contract executed, then you may show up for the inspection. And then really that's normally it. You don't see it again until you do your final walkthrough right before closing. So you're about to buy a property that you're going to have for 30 years. Anyway, that's how long the mortgage is. Not that you're necessarily going to live there for 30 years, but you've actually laid eyes on it twice. So yes, you should go do a final walkthrough. I always kid people. I say, yeah, let's go do a final walkthrough to be sure that it hasn't flooded or burned down since we were there last. But yeah, you should do a final walkthrough. That's also a way to confirm that whatever repairs you requested have in fact been done. You could lay eyes on those. Also, your realtor will supply you with paid invoices and receipts. Next up, how does earnest money work? You're going to have, if you submit a contract and you're fortunate enough to have it executed, the money that you're going to need is earnest money and option fee. The earnest money is basically, in the state of Texas, it shows your good faith to the seller that, hey, we're serious about this, and as a matter of fact, to show you that we're serious about this, we're going to put up some earnest money. The earnest money is typically 1% of what the sales price is. It doesn't go to the seller, it goes to the title company. The title company holds it in escrow, and you do get credit for it when you get to the closing table. If for some reason along the way here the contract crashes and burns, you could, under certain circumstances, get your earnest money back. But typically 1% of what the sales price is. Here's the other thing, an option fee, and we talked about the option period just a minute ago. The option fee is going to be $100, $150, $200, something like that. That also goes to the title company. The state of Texas changed that recently. So both those checks, and they can be one check made payable to the title company where you're going to close, one check for the earnest money and the option fee made payable to the title company, and the title company will disperse the option fee to the sellers. But yeah, you do need to put up earnest money. What's the next question? How many homes should I view before purchasing one? There's no answer to that question. You could fall in love with the first house and say, oh my God, what do I got to do to get this? Or you may look at 10 and not like any of them. There's no rhyme or reason to that. It's when you walk into a house and it checks a lot of your boxes. It has kind of a wow effect to you. By the way, there's a thing in real estate called the 75% rule, which is this. Unless you're Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos and you're a billionaire and you can customize your dream home down to the last screw, you're not going to find a house that is perfect 100% everything exactly like what you're wanting. In real estate, the 75% rule says if the house checks 75% of your boxes, 75% of what's most important to you, that's about the best you can hope for. So you need to have realistic expectations. So anyway, how many houses should you look at until you find one that really grabs you? And you need to be ready when you find the house you like, you need to be ready to strike fast. That's why you need to already have a pre-approval, pre-qual letter. You have already given it to your realtor. Your realtor has it on file. Your realtor can write up the offer, zip form or DocuSign it to you, get your initials and signatures, submit that to the listing agent along with your pre-approval letter, and you need to strike fast. And again, in this market, you need to be as competitive as possible, which basically is, and your realtor can help you with this, offering full price or possibly even over. Depends on, your realtor can advise you on that. Ask for nothing. Your realtor can advise you on that. Close quickly and possibly even have the ability to give the seller some lease back time, which means you're going to close on the house, but they actually get to stay in the house for a few days, a couple of weeks, whatever. That would also make your offer attractive. What is next? If a house already has a contract, can we contact the sellers and try to outbid the contract that they already have? You would be amazed how often I get asked that question. The answer is no, because they're under contract with those buyers. A contract is a legally binding contract. When you execute it, buyers have initialed and signed, sellers have initialed and signed. You put an execution date on there, bam, you got a legally binding contract. The sellers would not have the ability to blow up that contract and go with you. They can't. They're already under contract with those people. And think about this for a second. Think about the chaos that would create if that was actually allowable, that the sellers already have a contract, but you're going to come in and try to outbid and take the house away from the buyers that already have a contract on it. Think of the chaos. I mean, nobody would be secure with doing anything. Nobody would be secure in paying for a home inspection if the contracts are going to get taken away from them. They're setting up movers and making plans and doing everything that the lender needs them to submit, when at any time they can get that dreaded phone call and the house has been taken away from them. I mean, it would be a complete, total state of chaos. So the answer to the question is no. If the house has a contract, best to move on and go find something else. Now, you could submit a backup contract if you wanted to, which basically says you would be contract number 2. If for some reason the existing contract that they have crashes and burns, you would be next in line. And I've done that before for some buyers that have just left the house. I can't ever remember a time that we've ever submitted a backup contract and actually gotten it. You're basically being held in a state of limbo until the existing contract either crashes and burns or closes. But that would be an option for you. But no, you cannot outbid and take away an executed contract that a buyer already has. Next. What happens if I decide to back out of buying a house? Well, remember we talked about the option period. If you change your mind, you don't want to buy the house within the option period, no problem. That's why the state of Texas gives you the option period. You literally can wake up in a bad mood and say, I don't want to buy a house. You can do it. You can back out of the contract while you're in the option period for any reason. You don't have to even give cause. You can just say, we're terminating, as per our right to do so within the option period. So that makes it that's an easy way to get out. But again, that's 3, 5, 7 days. After your option period expires, there's still ways to get out of the contract. A lot of people think the only way to get out of contract is to terminate within the option period. That's not true. the state of Texas contract is 23 paragraphs long with multiple issues per paragraph. There's actually multiple ways a buyer can get out of a contract. And the long and short of it is, any information that the buyer has a right to have, if you don't get it to them within the time frame stated in the contract, they can terminate the contract. If after they've gotten the information that they have a right to have and they don't like it, they don't like what it says, they can terminate the contract. So basically, any information that's due to the buyer that the buyer has a right to have, and that can be HOA, that can be surveys, that can be the way it's zoned, what the buyer intends to do with the property. So for instance, if he's going to buy, or she's going to buy the house and use it as an investment rental, and the HOA in that area won't allow that, they could bust out of the contract because of that. People don't realize it, but there's a lot of ways a buyer can bust out of a contract. But if you, here, let me just say this real quickly. If you don't have a legal reason to bust out of the contract, and you just decide a week before closing, 10 days before closing, you have the ways and means to close on this house, you're just deciding you don't want to. That's a problem. That's a problem for you, because you could get sued. Again, this is a legally binding contract. It says you're going to buy their house on such and such a day, and you're going to pay this amount for it. And the sellers are obligated to meet their ends of the contract, and so are you. If you have the ways and means of closing on this house and you just decide you're not going to, you can get sued for what's called non-performance. So again, it's a legally binding contract, and you have to do what you agreed and said you're going to do in the contract. What else? What is a mortgage and how does it work? We already talked about getting pre-qualified, so we already hit on a lot of this. If you're going to buy a house, you're going to do it one of two ways. You're going to pay cash, or you're going to go secure a mortgage. So that's basically it. I'm not a lender, but there's a lot of great lenders. I can refer you to some great lenders. Basically, it's either a 15-year or 30-year, and it's going to be either a conventional loan or it's going to be a government-backed loan. And the two government-backed loans are FHA and VA. But obviously, you've got to find a way to pay for it. And by the way, there's what's called, if you're going to finance it, when you write up the offer, your realtor knows this, there's what's called a third-party financing addendum. The sellers have a right to know how you intend to pay for their house. Now, they don't have a right to know your personal financial information, your credit scores and your debt-to-income ratio, and what do you owe on your visa. That's none of their business. But they do have a right to know how you intend to pay for the house. So you're either going to pay cash or you're going to get a mortgage, conventional FHA or VA. And there's a form that's going to let them know how you intend to do that. And then again, of course, when your realtor submits the offer, they're going to submit your pre-qual or pre-approval letter along with the offer to let the sellers know, hey, we're not playing. We have the ways and means of doing this. So that would be included with that. Okay, I think we're about done. I think we got one more. What is the process of using a title company? Title companies are critical to a real estate transaction. You've got the buyer and the seller, you've got the buyer's agent, and you've got the seller's agent. The escrow is kind of the referee in all this. The escrow doesn't have a dog in this fight. The title company doesn't have a dog in this fight. The title company is what's called an escrow agent. They are neutral. They're kind of like Sweden. They're just, again, they don't have a dog in this fight. But they do a lot of critical things. They process all the monies coming in, and they disperse all the monies going out. So if everything, the earnest money, the option fee, they also they're going to issue a title policy which guarantees that the sellers do have free and clear title to transfer to the buyers. There's no liens or judgments against the title, so it's free and clear. So you as the buyer, when you get to the closing table and you sign all the documents, you can be rest assured that you are going to get free and clear title on the property that you just purchased. You don't want to move into the house and 3 months later you get a knock on the door and says, hey, I've got a lien against this house. Y'all need to get out. You don't want that nonsense. That title company will issue a title policy saying that the title is free and clear. And that can be free and clear from liens, mechanical liens, tax liens, et cetera, et cetera. But they also process all the money coming in and all the money going out. They will pay off the seller's mortgage for them. They'll distribute all the commissions. You as the buyer, you're going to be told how much money you need to bring to closing. They're going to process all that. They're going to give everybody credit and debit, everybody, all in the closing disclosure. They're going to generate all the closing documents. You're going to go to the title company's office and sit down with an escrow agent and actually sign everything in front of him or her. So everything, and they're going to record everything on the county tax records. They perform duties that are just a must. And there's a lot of good title companies. Most of them are good. Just like anything else, some are superior over to others, but they perform duties that are just critical. So anyway, what else is there? I think that's it. Anything else I can do to be of help? Anything I can help? Let me know. I've said before, I've been here in real estate for 30 years. Any real estate questions you have, questions, problems, concerns, anything I can do to be of service to you, don't hesitate to give me a call. Again, it is Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. Call, text, email, 214-649-4528, 214-649-4528. Have a great day. Bye-bye.